Hello and welcome to So Farscape.
A fun-filled Farscape fancast by a fervent fan.
And a frankly fascinated first-timer.
I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay. And this is
the story So Farscape.
So welcome to episode 305. And oh wait, I'm getting a message from Pilot saying that there's a solar storm incoming and there's going to be a problem with the communication systems.
The comm system is frelled.
It's going to be frelled and it's going to be like bad quality sound for the...
Oh my god, we're going to sound so different. Yes, it's a terrible solar storm. It's still going to be totally listenable though. It's just like these solar storms. Do you know how they cause technical difficulties?
They last for a while and then the problem goes away again.
Yes, exactly. I'm sure it'll be fine next time. But in the meantime, hold on to me. Lakmarukabin, Lakmarukabin, Lakmarukabin. I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
And this is Story History So Farscape.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes. Ooh, yes, we are back with episode 305, Different Destinations.
First aired on the 13th of April, 2001. And in this episode... Okay.
It's a really normal episode.
Right?
It's like,
it feels so weird.
It does. It kind of feels like a regular TV show almost. And I'm not saying that in a bad way.
I know, it's almost... Well, actually, that's a really good point. This is so close to being Star Trek, right?
Mm.
Accidentally thrown back in time. Oh, no, we have to set right what once went wrong. But...
With a twist.
Yes, because it's Farscape. It's very distinct. Actually, in the visual companion article about this episode, David Kemper talked about, or like, it's written down in text, but I could sort of hear him whining. We're not trying to be different from anyone else. It just happened. It just happened.
Yes, we've got some lovely synopsises from our listeners. Sarah says, when our resident ghost whisperer creates a 4D history ride for the team, they Marty McFrell it up.
Thank you. We meet a legendary cook, Jewel gets pissed, and Crichton gets a Woody.
Oh dear.
That's not how I remember the Alamo, but this phlebotinum only works once. And Jenna says, if you're unfamiliar with the meaning and origin of phlebotinum, I know that I've promised to Google stuff. This one... I thought, I know that. That's what they thought caused oxidization before they realized about oxygen. But no, that's phlogiston. So that's a different thing.
It's in the same region as unobtainium and raritanium and stuff like that.
Okay. Yes. Noun, phlebotinum, uncountable, science fiction. A fictional material used by authors to develop a plot requiring a material with properties not possessed by any real material. So, yes.
Unobtainium.
Unobtainium is rare. Yes.
Right. Raritanium and yes.
And I guess phlebotinum doesn't have to be rare, it just has to have these special properties.
Right, yes.
Like that. Yeah, okay.
It's in the same product category.
You find it in the same aisle at Space Walmart.
So if you want to cheer up somebody traumatized by death, both conceptual and specific, touring the alien Alamo is a horrible idea. The only solution? Joining the Stark Society for Creative Anachronism. Thank you, Hersberg.
Very good. Do you know there was an actual... there was a Stark Raving Mad Society, which was a little fan club for Stark.
Oh.
And they noticed that he had a meltdown, or sometimes a melt-up, just about every episode, and they asked him about that, but I thought it was adorable. Like, they were really happy when Stark returned and became a regular cast member.
Oh, yes.
My time, your time, phallic urine can block pain. Sometimes you just have to let everything die to get over your friend's death. Ooh, thanks, Dreamscaper.
And a partial corporeal whoopsie leads a history class into having an educated, thorough field trip. And, who needs a butterfly wing when you have a functional pulse rifle to set the record straight? Thank you, Axior, for that one. Axicor, sorry.
Yes, Axicor, a listener who's been with us for a while and has sent in their first synopsis. Very happy. Also happy to see that name. Axicor is a cool character in I think it's an upcoming episode. Is that kind of a spoiler?
Oh.
It'll be fine. Yes, so I remembered this episode as, that was a pretty good episode of Star Trek.
Yeah.
So watching it again was really quite interesting. Because there was a lot that I found, it appealed to me differently than it did the first time around. The first time around, it appealed to me a lot because of, like, the production value, the beautiful designs, and, hey, hunky catmen.
Yes.
Right? Which has been a staple of our podcasting history since we began Cover My Ass.
It's basically Klingons, but then cats.
Yeah. Originally, yes, I have the Creatures of Farscape book here. Dave Elsey wanted to go for a sort of Planet of the Apes kind of thing, but with different apes, and that didn't feel right to the production crew. So they went with something more fantasy-based. So they went for this, essentially like Sean Connery as a lion man, and according to Dave Elsey, like a testament to his work ethic, that he sculpted Grimes over the Christmas break. He just took it home with him.
Okay, yeah.
And he really liked like taking work home with him on the weekends and on breaks, because then you could just sit there and quietly sculpt and listen to the radio. You don't have people coming up, where's the brushes? Where's this brush? What colour goes here? Elsie.
I mean, it's very Ron Perlman as well, as in...
yes, Beauty and the Beast.
Beauty and the Beast, that's...
Yeah, the 1980s production where he was
so
gorgeous.
Yes.
And it was such a romantic show.
It was. So yeah...
Who was the female lead? She played Sarah Connor as well, right?
Right, yes, her.
Linda Hamilton?
I think so, yes.
That sounds right.
Yeah, a very young Linda Hamilton at that point, but yes.
Gosh, that show... Does it hold up, do you think?
I think I rewatched the first episode like 6 months ago or something.
How was it?
Very slow, very, like, incredibly slow.
Right.
I mean, I had the same thing when we watched an episode of Moonlighting with a very young Bruce Willis.
Oh,
also,
yeah.
extremely slow-paced by modern standards.
Yeah.
It's like nothing ever happens. Like, it takes forever.
I wonder if that's just... I mean, obviously, television has picked up the pace in terms of, you know, speed and density, and certainly budgets have permitted that. But I wonder if it's also an aspect of, like, they're both romance shows, really.
Yes.
Right? Moonlighting, very much about the chemistry between those characters. I remember Beauty and the Beast as being almost Byronic in its romance.
Oh.
Lord Byron and the
yes.
sort of tragic hero, and you have the community of underdwellers.
Very much so, yeah.
Okay, that has nothing to do with this episode, except for the hunky cat men, the gorgeous lions.
Yes. Actually, they kind of skimped on the makeup budget by only actually having two hunky catmen, really, and the rest of them wearing horde masks. They kind of like went sand people of Tatooine. Although I don't really want to combine the thoughts of like cat people and the sandbox.
Well, I mean, that is probably the situation that they find themselves in.
No, it's not exactly a sandy planet. It opens with like beautiful shots of...
oh my God.
Almost like...
so beautiful.
It remind me a little bit of Avatar, you know, not quite the floating mountains yet, but it does have that same kind of landscape that you get.
Yes, I see what you mean. So they're all of these almost like natural columns?
Yeah, it looks absolutely fantastic, and it really makes me wonder how... in those fight scenes later on, how do these people get up here? This is like sheer cliffs, and they're standing up the walls like these archers or these spear throwers they have. Like, damn, there must be some strong weapons to be able to get those spears up like that high.
Yeah. Well, I guess, I mean, I've seen footage of walks along older walkways, like El Camino Real, which is, I think, like, leads up to a mine or a gold mine or something, and it's this rickety, like...
Isn't El Camino Real that street that runs all the way from like Washington down to San Diego?
There's lots of... I mean, it's just the King's Road. There's lots of places called that.
Well, I thought like in California, like you have this like El Camino Real. You've got one in San Francisco and in the Bay Area and in Los Angeles, but it's actually the same road. It's just like... Oh, okay. It's just that one road that runs...
Well, it's like the Provincialweg, the provincial road in the Netherlands. Like, you've got those all over the place. But it's just, like, it's planks sort of nailed into the side of a sheer...
I know what you mean, yes. Those,
right?
Like, cliff walks, and we're literally talking cliff walks here.
Yep.
Like, you're only allowed if you're a goat.
Well, and, I mean, that was how people got to work and brought their lunches. And so, you know...
Yeah.
You see Chinese ladies and elderly ladies in mountain towns just walking up sheer cliffs like mountain goats with huge bundles on their back. So
yeah,
the answer to your question is practice.
Fair point. Yeah. So the crew is basically vacationing here. They are on this planet. There's like something that needs to be readjusted in Moya's humors.
Pilot still needs another arm to fix condensers. I'll let you know when he's done.
And it's going to take about an hour, and I guess they just like decided like, oh, we're just going to go to the planet and see the historical site. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe take our minds off all the dramatic things that have been happening.
This memorial rocks. Come on, check it out.
I like that. I mean, you've kind of got to, right?
True.
You go stir crazy. I like that they go out and they go out shopping and... Oh, yes, that's what Stark says. He's got some new clothes. He's got a...
Oh, yes.
Zan bought these. bought them for me.
I know, and you look great. You look like Astro Boy.
Like, he's just sitting there, like, showing off his new clothes, and John says, well, you look like Astro Boy. Like, you look really good. I actually don't like the new outfit as much as the previous one. Like, he had a slightly longer coat, and that was better, and this looks like...
I agree. Like, the high shoulder things, it doesn't really suit him all that well.
I mean, it's a fancy boy tunic.
Sure.
Right?
And basically there's, like, this museum dedicated to, like, it's an old monastery, and it was dedicated to the big battle that happened here, in which a peacekeeper actually managed to broker peace. Wow, they're finally doing what their name says.
Yeah.
Finally doing what it says on
tin.
tin. Yeah. which caused the prosperous times and peace on this planet, and they're just like wandering around. And rather than having a guided audiobook tour, they actually have these like visor things, which aren't just like augmented reality. No, they are genuine time travel, time viewing machines. You'd think that these have other applications than just like in a bloody monastery.
They've designed these goggles so you can look back into the past at the old monastery.
We don't really get an explanation of why they're there or how they function.
But they are genuine time viewing devices.
This sucker is a tear in time. It links to the past. It looks back to the actual moment when the event occurred.
So they just may be naturally occurring sort of views into the past that, I mean, maybe this is a common thing, that every planet has some soft spots where you can see in the past with the correct equipment, and you generally just leave them alone because no good can come from it, and everybody who figures out time travel eventually goes...
And they didn't get the message on this
best not. Well, apparently they'd never interacted with Bannox before, but...
Right.
Before we get to that, I really love this scene where we've got John trying to convince Dargo to put on the goggles.
Check it out.
John, what are you talking about? There is nothing
You have to put the goggles on. Come on, take a look.
Put the goggles on. You want me to look?
Yes, through the goggles.
Dargo's a bit skeptical. He doesn't like Viewmasters, I guess.
No.
And you've got Jewel and Aaron bickering.
Having a bit of an argument, yes.
Because Aaron is so excited.
This recording device is accurate. I learned about this Jocation Memorial.
Well, need I say more? If you learnt about it at military school, it's certain to be Farker.
And
Because this is a historical site. Like, this peacekeeper who died here is like a peacekeeper hero.
500 cycles ago, 30 peacekeepers lost their lives defending this monastery, and Sub-Officer Dakin is one of our greatest heroes.
Propaganda for morons.
I don't believe...
Ladies, some decorum, please. This is a peace memorial. Let's not kill one another.
She learned about it in school.
Yeah.
Right? And she's got the historical record here. Like, apparently, even though this is in the Uncharted Territories, this is part of, like...
It's a peacekeeper legend.
Right.
Yeah.
It's part of the sort of canon of history. I mean, in a multiplanetary civilization, billions of events happen per year. You kind of have to select what you're going to explain in school.
I mean, yeah, clearly for the peacekeepers to maintain we are actual peacekeepers, I can imagine that this would be a pivotal thing that you would have in your textbooks.
Yeah, yeah.
This is exactly the kind of thing that they are at least professing to be.
Yeah.
Well, if they actually are that, because I still think they're just a bunch of thugs at this point. But
hey, there's a difference between the individual and the institution, and you know, the politics of power are complex and the complicity. But what I love is that Jewel, she's sort of nagging at Aaron because she's like a late first-year college student.
Right.
You're wrong, you know.
Bullfrell.
You're wrong.
Bullfrell!
You're wrong. If you'd only... Sub-Officer Dakin stood right up there. The device says right up there. Guts pouring out everywhere, bleeding, and yet he still managed to initiate the peace process to save the nurses.
Bullfrell! Peacekeepers have always been a manifest military contagion that has raped and pillaged. They haven't died for any nurses. That's just a silly little story to help naive children sleep at night.
You know what would help me sleep better at night?
No, this is completely wrong. The peacekeepers are a manifest military contagion, which... Woof.
She's deep in that froth of like having a little bit of knowledge and therefore thinking that she knows everything, you know?
Yeah, she's learned the term military-industrial complex, and now everything is part of the military-industrial complex. Like, yes, you're right, but not always.
I also noticed that she uses the term Bullfrell.
Bullfrell!
Which seems a bit... Okay. If it was Bull Dren, I could imagine it a little bit better, but...
Well, that's how you get baby bulls. I'll explain it to you when you're older. Yeah, it's beautiful. You've got these banners with an emblem on it that I don't fully understand. I mean, that must be Jocation, because that's the species that live here. They're the nuns in the historical...
Which are the local quote-unquote humans.
Yeah, they look Sabatianoid. Well,
yeah.
Basically no difference. And then there's the Venix, who are... we see two live...
monkey cat people.
Yeah. God.
Oh, check it out. This is the nurses surrendering to the Venic Horde.
Can they see us?
I hope not.
We never see a female Venic. They must be gorgeous as well.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they're under the masks. Maybe they're the mean ones.
Oh, yeah. Well,
they're the horde that needs to be contained. Oh, no, let's not get sexist here. It's like
no, exactly. We've actually been over this in our variety of hunky cat people stories that we imagined in Cover My Ass, and we sort of imagined it as a quiet matriarchy that lets the boys sort of stand in front, but then actual policy is determined by
determined in the back.
Yeah,
it's a very. Do you know Oglaf?
The very sort of 18 plus, but very funny.
Right. Yes. So there's one. Episode where they it's a riff on art in games and fantasy art in general, where basically the males of a species always look like the species and the females of the species kind of look like human females, but then kind of colored and with a few traits from
pretty girls with a set of ears on their heads,
right? Exactly. And then you've got all these monsters going on about what human males, they look so weird. They kind of look like everybody's female but except without any traits.
Yeah, hey, what's your theory why they haven't kicked Jewel off?
Who is that creature?
That's ballast. Ignore it.
Oh, why would they? I mean, she doesn't have anywhere to go.
Yeah.
She's just essentially like Tiana got on board. They decided to stick around. They actually brought her on board. So I suppose they figured they have at least obligation towards her.
Right.
Because they got her on board. They brought her away from that planet, which I believe is now interesting because there's now several thousands of people still in those frozen pods without a doctor or a other caretaker around to ever let them out again.
Effectively.
Moving swiftly onwards.
Yes, moving from one existential horror to another. I love that we have Chiana on the ship. She and Rigel have stayed behind.
I love that scene. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Chiana shows an amazing range of emotions in the scene when she goes wandering into Zahn's quarters, which almost seem burnt.
They have been burnt for a while. Like that during the burning of Moya, most of the places were repaired, but Zahn's quarters, she quartered in one of the burned sections.
Right.
Yeah, that's where she spent
the
last days.
Yeah, she finds Rigel going over the remains of Zahn's stuff there, and they have this great exchange. It's like,
what are you doing in Zahn's quarters?
You know why I'm here. Same reason as you.
And why am I here?
We've seen them do this before. We've seen them
but it's different now.
Exactly.
Yeah, because she asked Rigel, "What are you doing here?" Rigel goes same thing. You are gruffly.
Yeah, a conversation they'd had before,
and then she clearly tries to save face, quote unquote, by yeah, of course I was going to come here to steal this stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, we're sensible, you and me. Leaving this to rot won't bring Zahn back.
And then, that gets turned back again when Rigel, although he professes that he was here to steal, so he's clearly also there to just reminisce a little bit. And at least I got that feeling from Rigel towards the end.
Great. Yeah. Yes. What I got was that they'd gone there sort of out of habit to sneak some, and then realized, they don't want to. But I think I actually prefer your interpretation that they'd both gone there just to sort of feel their loss of Zahn and just be in a space that
reminisce more a little bit, and
they couldn't admit it to each other.
I think, but they're so
beautiful.
Rigel still says the same thing you are, which they both interpret wrong, but then they're still right because they're both two wrongs make a right in this case.
I don't want it.
No, neither do I.
Oh
yeah,
they've come so far. Chiana is very capable now that she has someone who's more petulant than her to be the new kid.
Yeah, I noticed that interaction between her and Jewel. So I'm not calling her Red Sonja anymore.
I noticed. There's a bit of a through line of people taking care of each other. John tries to encourage Stark to view this as well because it's a moment of peace.
And he goes have another mask on top of your mask.
Yes.
At the end, though, it's beautiful. It's this really peaceful thing where everybody was brokered peace and everything is happy and they're having a beautiful ceremony. And
he has literally just said that the time tear sort of snaps back and forth between two moments, the moment of peace and the final battle. And guess which one's on the Viewmaster when Stark puts on there?
I don't want to.
No, it's okay. It's a moment of peace. It's the very thing Zan treasured most. Can you see it?
I see so much. And screaming and screaming. Oh, the Stark Raving Man Society was very happy. But there seems to be some kind of interaction with his Stykera energies.
Yes.
As a consequence, they're surrounded by this light. Everybody screams. And when they wake up, it's nighttime. There's very different sculpture in the center.
Yep, there's torches burning.
Yep.
And there's the sand on the floor rather than a nice tiled court.
Oh, yeah.
Well, yeah, it looks different. It looks very much more lived in and different.
Jewel is very impressed. Like, this is amazing. This is the best virtual simulation I've ever been in.
It's so real. It's so...
Incoming! Get down! Get down! Dargo, Jules hit!
And then she gets shot in the arm.
Yeah. A flaming arrow through the elbow.
Yeah, it'll put the fire out.
Yes, okay. Then what's the benefit of the flaming?
I mean, I suppose it's for when you're hitting something that doesn't, immediately put, if you you can set things on fire.
Yeah, there's a flaming arrow attack of this monastery. Jewel is hit.
Only then we get to go to the credits, yes.
Virginia Hayes no longer among the credits.
And Marshall Napier is.
Wait, who?
Marshall Napier? Isn't that Jules?
Wait, where?
Oh, Lucy Bell. No, wait. It's
No. That's after the credits. That's episode.
Oh, right. So I'm looking at the GIFs.
We're looking at the GIF. No, it's perfectly understandable. Her name is Tammy McIntosh, and I don't think she's been added to the credits.
Okay, so I was wondering about that, if she was on the credits already or not, and I kind of thought she was from the looking at the GIFs here, but it seems that...
Yeah, after the credits have finished, there's still a few names that they mentioned. So, in season 3, they're adding the title card as well. So after the Farscape logo, then you see different destinations. And go back to the scene where Erin, very smart, she's making sure that everybody's safe, getting them out of cover. You move over here, let's go.
Come on, in!
Don't touch me!
Move it!
If you don't move,
Move
you
it!
die.
Oh, it's awful. We're in a peace memorial.
Dargo, same deal.
Yep, she does the right thing. She actually snaps the head of the arrow and then pulls it back out of the wound.
Pulls it forward, through, right?
No, I think she's actually pulling it back. So I think she snaps the head off and then pulls the shaft back. But yeah.
Oh, I see what you mean. Yeah. She does that immediately. Is that what you need to do? Well, going back to CPR scale?
Generally speaking, first aid, unless, if there's something stuck in there, you leave it in there.
Yeah, leave it for a doctor.
Right, let the doctors take care of it. But, that's clearly not an option here, and I assume that...
Oh, that's right. They have no certainty of, medical treatment.
Right, I suppose that Erin has had a little bit of more training in that regard, how to take care of these things, being a soldier and all that.
Immediately doing field dressing before the arrow can do any more damage to the arm.
Yeah, as usually for the first aid is whatever's in there, leave it in there, take them to the ER, let them sort it out. Because actually pulling it out can actually, the object stuck in there might actually be holding a severed artery shut. And pulling it out is going to make it bleed more.
Oh, I remember a secondhand story. Our friend Wolfie, whose uncle, I think, at one point, during the carving of a turkey, during a fondue event. You know how fondue, you've got those long two-tined forks? And he was trying to skewer a piece of broccoli or whatever, and he skewered the broccoli through his hand.
Oh, lovely.
Got the whole thing through, called up, and this was between Christmas and New Year, so there weren't a lot of places taking patients. And it's not very critical, so they just had them bandage it with the thing still in there, and got in the car and drove over. You probably have an easier time going, we're not sending an ambulance for something like that.
Oh, no,
blood coming out. There was a terrible, terrible traffic jam, which they decided to skip, and driving over the hard shoulder, which is not a very legal thing to do.
No, but you'll get pulled over for it. But if you then go show someone with a fork through their hand,
that's why he just had it out the window so everyone could see. I'm not being an asshole. There's an actual.
Fantastic.
Okay, so here comes what is now my favorite part of this episode. John tries to explain to Erin.
Figure out what's going on here.
I know exactly what's going on. Someone is trying to kill us.
Erin, I think Stark's mask might have pulled us sometime into the past.
Trying to figure that one out.
The Stark's energies must have interacted with the time tear and sent us back in time. And Erin's like, I figured that out.
Yeah.
And so is Dargo.
Yeah.
We shouldn't change anything. Immediately,
John's right. If we change anything here, change the past, the future might not happen as it's meant to.
And we won't get back.
So we don't get back, but I'm not dying just so that things don't change.
All of them are just completely ready for time travel, which they've never done before, and they're already, we've got to make sure that we don't affect the timeline. Nobody's questioning that it's impossible, right? I love this.
It's extremely sensible. I mean, I guess they have shows involving time travel in the Uncharted Territories as well.
Oh, wow, yes.
There must be entertainment shows that deal with this. Like, they are actually a little bit genre-aware of where they are. And
yeah, true. Oh, another beautiful... Like, this episode is credited to a writer whose name now escapes me, but the writer wasn't available for...
Steve Worland.
Oh, very good.
It says so in the sheets.
Oh, yeah. You're so cunning. So it was sort of rewritten or it was refined and polished by the rest of the team, and you can hear some of David Kemper's economy of language, which I really enjoy. So they realize where they are, so that when they're approached by some peacekeepers in sort of funky ancient helmets, who goes, "Who are you? Are you our backup?" Aaron goes, yes.
I am Commander Sun. This is Sub-Commander Crichton.
The Luxon is a mercenary.
I love that shot.
Boom, boom, boom. Just straight to the point, completely clear. It gets a report from Officer Tarn, I think.
Whom she asks if he is the folk hero, at least that she expects him to be.
Yeah, Sub-Officer Dacon, whom she's heard so much. These uniforms are really interesting. They've all got this sort of circular emblem in the middle that looks like it's constructed of like circles and wedges. You know how the Peacekeeper logo is a diagonal slash with a hollow circle and then a wedge in there. Yeah, I really like that imagery.
Turns out that the sub-commander is just the cook. The cook is the hero, apparently.
I'm a cook. I like to think about food.
But for
a reversal of the Hunt for Red October.
Yes, I suppose so. And we get a fantastic fight scene. The Horde is trying to overrun the monastery, and everybody is in their element, especially Dargo. And I really loved how Dargo shines here. He doesn't. He's not overly brash or show-offy, but he really works here, and just not just in this fighting scene, but all along the rest of the episode. He is just fantastic. His behavior is
absolutely
perfect.
He's mature, he's caring, he's got his eyes on the ball, he keeps it business.
And he does some fantastic background eye rolling in one of the lasers. You just see him standing there like... Oh, yes, he's like...
And he gets to use his sword as a sword.
Finally, useful, yes.
Because the Peacekeepers, a detachment that was here to protect the monastery and that has asked for backup, they asked for hundreds of soldiers, they informed them that somehow the Venek Horde, who's attacking, are jamming their pulse weapons.
Yes, which is apparently a thing that was doable back then. But turns out that modern pulse weapons have jam protection.
Their plasma frequencies must only work against primitive recharges.
And what about Dargo's Qualter rifle?
It's as old as most of the weapons around here. I doubt it'll fire.
And which is working.
Sort of cool division which Aaron and John conceal, because then, they'd have to explain where they got these advanced weapons from.
Yes. So just a little bit of backstory here. Was a caravan of healers, nuns, I suppose, which were like on the way.
Nuns and orphans.
And they were being met by the Peacekeepers, and like they herded them towards this little monastery to keep them safe from the Horde, and the Horde is now trying to attack them.
It's laid siege to these mountains, as their general later explains, because of drought, which
makes sense.
That is such a fantastic motivation for a war that no one wants, right? You gotta have water, and nothing, there's no other option then.
Yeah, it's we're gonna die if we don't, so we need to get water one way or the other.
My soldiers used to share the waters of the Critland River with the cities on the plateau. Now our supply has dried, and we're dying.
So this is about water.
Inside this mountain is the source of the river. If we don't gain access to it, the Horde will attack the cities, and millions will die.
Now, why the solution isn't, okay, well, have some water then. That part, I don't
These mountains seem green enough, but then again, they might not be in the time that it's taking place.
Right, it's described that the mountain is the source of the rivers that they used to... It's a bit unclear, but it's probably, if it doesn't make sense to us, it's probably that they were explaining it wrong. in the heat of the moment, omitting some facts that seem obvious to them.
Also, these cat people seem to be fairly instinct-driven, as the generals at several points lament that they have difficulty controlling their horde.
Yeah. This may be sort of related to, like, hyper rage among Luxons.
Right.
That it's...
or Klingons in general.
Sort of like the Berserkers. Right? A particular tradition, I guess you describe it, among Vikings and some other people, where certain warriors would, through religious fervor and drugs, elevate them into a state of just frenzy and the fearlessness in battle, which could be advantageous to a group, but it's also like you've got to keep that under control. So this may be something that they actually try to trigger that in their soldiers.
Right, but it's one of those double-edged swords that you have to, like, you can trigger, but if you do it at the wrong time, then you've got some battle-enraged cat people who are now very difficult to keep in hand.
Yeah. They've got to have an outlet for it once you've got it. Once you've got their Irish up.
So Aaron explained that the sub-commander took an arrow to the everywhere, and as he was like delivering a proposal to the general, and the general was like, right now after the battle, the general is out there talking to his troops, convincing the other generals to offer a peace, because he has seen during this attack that there's only women and children here, and there's no honor in attacking this. Turns out, however, the general is actually still here since the nature of the fight changed.
Yes, not only did all the Peacekeepers not die, because there are still Peacekeepers, namely the backup that our heroes have pretended to be, but also, yes, the general did not retreat. He's on the ground, so he's tied up, and this is where we get that exposition from sexy lion daddy Sean Connery, essentially.
Yes, the horde is bloodthirsty and almost impossible to control. I'm trying not to be a barbarian.
John makes a plan, but that doesn't quite come. Because first we have a scene with Jew, who is like being shot through the arm, gets offered some anesthetic, which he's quite skeptical about at first.
Is that sterile? Oh, God, I'll probably get hypicus.
Here, drink this.
Why?
It'll dull the pain.
Oh, thank Bosma. At least maybe now I won't die of shock.
But then when she finds that it really is the good stuff, she's quite enthusiastic about it.
Do you see how she drinks?
It's like that husky with his face down in the water.
Blowing bubbles.
Yeah.
That's apparent, and she makes a sort of trilling noise, and that's apparently just how Tyrells drink.
Yep.
Oh, hello.
Do you feel this?
Nothing. Look! This is great. I've got to get some of this to bring home. What is it?
She really wants some more of that stuff until she finds out what it is.
1 part water, 9 parts phallop urine. You made me drink this.
So, Tammy McIntosh made a bunch of choices here. Like, she came up with that style of drinking at a dinner party. She had some friends over the night before, and she sort of, after a few drinks, they sort of came up with that. Oh, I'm going to do that. And then here she also decided that this anesthetic was going to make her a little bit tipsy. Because, like, she takes a sip, she goes, oh, yeah, that does... Whoa.
Oh, this is the good stuff. Yeah, she kind of really acts like someone's coming up on ecstasy when you feel that first shiver going through you, and it's...
Whoa.
Oh, yes. Have some more of that, please.
Or I guess the first time you put one of those head massages on a dog.
Oh, yes.
And they just sort of melt. Until she finds out what it is. It's 1 part water and 9 parts phallop urine.
Yes. We don't know what a phallop is, but...
Phallop's a creature on Tarsus, and they get the nectar from...
Aaron, please. Phallop's a creature on Tarsus 6.
Oh, actually, yeah, we sort of do. I mean, the phallop nectar is sort of like beer.
Oh, yes.
We have phallop shanks.
Phallop nectar.
Phallop juice.
Phallop urine.
Don't tell me where it comes from. Just drink the beer.
As Darren's explained.
Oh, Darren.
And also here, it's mentioned again, like a phallop is a sort of... So apparently they have phallops that they can get nectar. And isn't nectar a plant thing?
Nectar, I suppose, yeah. I mean, nectar is usually the...
Right, the precursor to honey.
Yeah.
That's what the little hummingbirds want.
Right, yes.
And the bees and the... Now, Aaron hangs out with Daikon.
She's got a little bit of a hero's crush on him.
Yeah, which... I mean, she's crushed by it as well, because she has to sort of correct him on, like, stay out of eyesight, and...
She quickly learns that he is not the hero that he was made out to be by the history books. He's a cook, he's not a warrior, he's just like there and doesn't really act particularly warrior hero-esque. He does come back to that later. He does, at the end.
Because he is a joiner. Like, he asks her, why did you join up?
Yeah.
And she says, I didn't. And then he immediately assumes, now this was interesting, he assumes, oh, so you were, I was born on a ship. Not conscripted, like Grace was.
Yeah.
So up to now, we knew two ways that Sebastians became Peacekeepers. Either you're born as a sort of mandatory reproduction to fill the ranks, or you're conscripted as Grace was. But apparently, at least 500 years ago...
it also joined.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it makes sense. That would still be an option.
Right? She feels a lot for this young man, though. Like, he's a charming young man. He has these lovely, like... I don't know, cow's eyes, right? Very, very innocent, kind, helpful.
He's got a lovely face.
Yeah. And she feels very protective because this is, as she says...
It's easy to be fearless around here. This is what peacekeepers are meant to do, help the defenseless. You'll be fine.
Dargo is trying to bully Stark into, like, using the time site and to find a way back, and sees that things are not quite going as right. Whereas
he uses Jewel as a sort of probe, asking Stark, where's the portal now? And then he just tosses
Jewel first against the wall.
Well, that was obviously wrong.
And it's only on the second or the third attempt that she actually managed to throw her through the rift.
And she pops through the rift, which apparently anyone can do at any time as long as you know where it is.
I guess. It makes sense. It's like...
And she falls into mud.
Mud! You want to know about mud? I know about mud.
God knows mud.
And has a pissy fit. She acts like a petulant child.
Yes.
She is like, oh, I didn't sign up for this. It's like a little bit like the Emperor in The Emperor's New Groove, where he's in his llama face. Like,
Cusco. Yes.
That's his name, yes.
Oh, Tammy had so much fun with this. Like, she was instructed by the hair specialists who had just constructed these incredibly expensive and costly wigs for her.
No.
Like, took her actually by the throat and said, you are not bringing that wig anywhere near the mud. So she sort of tricked that poor woman into leaving the set for a bit, and she went, quick, roll it. She rolled around in the mud, and the wig was utterly rude because it took like 10 hours of washing and drying and recurling. Man. And she was so happy that she could do it, and her hair mistress didn't talk to her for 3 weeks.
Bastards! They shot me! They punched me! They made me drink piss!
Meanwhile, John is talking to the general, whose name I failed to catch.
Grynes.
Grynes. And in the chief that I'm looking at, he just looks really like, what's his name again, from Cats?
Are we going to name all the cats again?
No, I'm just talking about the old one, Deuteronomy.
Old Deuteronomy,
he totally looks like old Deuteronomy here. That was...
I mean, my canonical memory of Cats is the 2019 CGI film with the buttholes, but...
Yeah, no, those were added in later by a fervent fan.
Yes, old Deuteronomy is actually really good because he, like, at first he talks to Crichton as a peacekeeper, and Crichton doesn't dispel this like he doesn't need to.
Your superiors sent you into battle without an understanding of the antecedents? You really are barbarians.
No, we're peacekeepers, barbarians, but your children.
Yeah, fair cop.
Yeah, good point. Having Jewel sent back triggers a scene on Moya after apparently Chana goes back to pick her up because the planet has changed.
Yes.
Like, this is like, there's been a massive time rift, and now the actions of our heroes have changed history, and this planet is now torn by war.
It's not the same here!
They hear Jewel screaming through the portal before it closes that it's different because she can see that there are different banners, the statue is different.
The statue, in the original there was this like big monument. Now the same statue's there, but it's toppled over.
Ah, that's right. Yes, I want to talk about those statues because the big monument, I think, resembles the symbol that the Peacekeepers had on their chest.
Yes.
It's circular. Yeah, okay, yeah. But the big statue that was in the past, I don't know fully what to make of it. It looks maybe like a stylized Venic.
Maybe, yeah. It's a Buddha-esque statue. Someone sitting in a pose with their legs crossed. I mean,
the lotus pose.
Is that? Oh, yeah, I suppose that
sort of looked like that.
Or apparently, as they call it in America, crisscross applesauce, which I'm not making this up.
Well,
it's like it replaces the phrase which was usually used and which was called Indian sitting, which is considered to be not culturally appropriate anymore. And here in Europe, we call it the tailor's pose.
Oh, yes, that's right.
Kleermakerszit,
yeah. Or at least in Dutch. I don't know how it is in other European languages. It's where you've got your ankles resting on your thighs.
Well, it's like kind of tucked underneath it. Otherwise, you're talking.
Oh, is it?
Lotus pose.
That is the lotus.
That's a difficult pose. Most people can't do that.
Okay, so the two different teams, two different time zones, learn about the changed time because Chiana aboard the ship is contacted by Pilot.
What's the matter, Pilot? Why'd you come?
Have you heard from Crichton at the memorial?
Yeah, Dargo called about an hour ago. He said Joel and Aaron were truck fighting. That seemed normal. Why? What's the matter?
Something weird has happened.
Yeah,
because
it has changed.
Yes, when we arrived, we received welcome messages in the Jacatian language, but now we're receiving messages encouraging us to depart in basic Venic vernacular.
Yes.
And in the past, it's Stark who says that through the portal, he felt a lot of death that he hadn't felt before, suggesting that billions,
yes, all right, very many. We get the idea.
Died in the intervening time that didn't die when they arrived. And that's when they figure out, okay, so...
We frelled it up, yeah.
Crichton has a plan, though.
Right, yes. He's just going to send the general back to make his peace offering and, fix everything like that.
A plan that he doesn't tell Aaron about. He comes close, they have an argument, but he neglects to tell her exactly what he's planning to do. He just wants to be... He wants to be right.
I guess. I'm not sure why he doesn't tell her. It seems like the kind of thing that she would go along with, but...
Yeah, there's a continuing sort of note of mistrust from Aaron and Dargo that's left over from the last episode.
Yeah.
I do not trust Crichton's judgment.
Agreed.
So kind of what I'm getting this time, I think that Crichton wants to earn that back, wants to earn their faith back by doing one of his cockamamie plans and having it succeed.
Right. That makes sense.
I think maybe he wants the credit. That's why he's not... telling anyone.
I fixed it. So what he does is he dresses the general up as one of the nuns.
Yeah, bonnets are always a risk, but it's the little touches that put you over the wall.
Carries him towards walks him towards the battlements.
Yeah.
Has a discussion with the general saying okay, well, we don't want death and you don't want death. And the general says well, if there's going to be soldiers here when I return with my men, I won't be able to contain the horde. And he goes don't worry, we'll be gone.
Yeah. Which basically is a decent plan.
It is a decent plan. Basically, he wants to return the timeline the way it was. Yep. The general convinces his troops that the monastery isn't a threat.
It's not a military target.
They can get out of the water. There's not going to be any soldiers there, and they can leave everybody alone and alive.
Perfect plan.
However, once he gets the general up on the battlements, one of the sisters shoots him, essentially.
Yeah.
Just basically blasts right through him with an arrow. General topples over the walls, goes crashing down, which, must be quite a fall considering you look at that shot.
Yeah.
It's those are hundreds of meters of battlements.
Well, even in the studio, the battlements were 15 feet high. They built this whole courtyard. It's pretty scary to film that stuff without railings.
Fair point, yeah.
We also have some really interesting conversations between some of the nuns/orphans.
Yes.
Nuns talks with Dargo.
Are the Peacekeepers contracted to defend your world?
They uphold all that's good. It's ironic we might have been safer if they'd never found us.
Where they're very mature. She asks him essentially to take care of her child, so not orphans. Yeah, nuns and their children, I guess. That what the horde does to children. She would rather that her child be at peace if the worst comes to worst. And can I count on you?
Oh, I thought that's what she was talking about herself. That she was asking Dargo to kill her rather than the kid.
I think it was specifically the child, because she's the one who shoots the general. She's armed and she's fully expecting to partake in the battle and to, die in that battle. Speaking of that child, Centrina, her name is, she speaks with Stark, and she asks him why he's crying. And he's crying over the bodies of the people who died in the last attack by the Venics. He's buried them, he deals with the dead. And Centrina says, when my father died, I didn't cry. And there are no words.
No, he just kind of comforts her and helps her process that, I suppose.
And you see he's shedding more tears. He's crying for the both of them.
Yes.
Which is kind of a beautiful... I love that it's not said.
It's it kind of shows Stark in the role that we've always been told about, and now we're being shown what it is that he does.
Yeah. And he's channeling a lot of Zan as well.
Yes.
He's really making an effort to hug people and to spread messages of kindness.
after the general gets shot, John gets treated as a traitor because he was like trying to let the general free.
Yes.
He gets grabbed, he gets tied up to the statue. Big argument about shooting him as well, which gets interrupted by a flaming message from the enemy.
I loved this. It's a messenger. It's a message arrow.
It's a flame mail.
Okay, yes. The AOL Messenger flame mail arrives with a hologram of the second-in-command, an even sexier Lion Man.
Yes.
Jocation civilians and peacekeeper militia, hear me. You will never know how close to salvation you came, how near lasting peace you brushed.
Who goes like, well, I could have forgiven you killing our commander because it was like in battle, but you dressed him up in your woman's clothes.
You disgraced his body with dressing him in it. And yet you kind of get it. Like, how could they interpret that except as a mockery? We will return his corpse to you.
Yes.
But defiled and disgraced, and we won't let him wear his own armor.
So this kind of like messes up their plans.
Yeah, everything is worse. It's way worse than it ever was.
And
like,
they're basically, we will like attack at dawn. You have until the stars go out to make your peace, and then everybody's going to die.
Now we have the calm before the storm and a truly beautiful tracking shot that follows first Dargo, or first the nuns, and then Dargo past Stark, and then Aaron is sitting with Dacon, appreciating his cooking.
Yes.
Apparently he made some attack that she really appreciates.
Mm-hmm. And Harvey V is mingling with his troops.
What?
Oh, it's like Henry V isn't one of the Shakespeare's plays where the king goes in disguise and mingles with the troops on the night before battle.
Oh, it's one of those undercover boss things.
Right, yes. I guess that's another thing that Shakespeare invented. Yes, we have like Harvey playing the harmonica.
Yeah, because all over this long shot we hear a harmonica lonely playing Home on the Range.
Yes. Which is, I guess, so my first thought, who's playing the harmonica? And my first thought was like, okay, John's got a harmonica and he's now playing this, but no.
Then you see John tied up with his arms spread. Okay, then who's doing it?
And it's like...
And then you see cowboy boots.
Yes.
And they're on sort of leather pants. And
it's like, oh, it's Harvey.
Which is brilliant.
It is. But I thought it was interesting because I kind of figured that Harvey would be down with what's going on because, he's been wanting to die. He's been wanting to, I have served my purpose, I'm still in your head, and, I want out. So you'd have thought that he'd be happy with the situation. Like, oh, yes, thank God, everyone's going to die in the morning. Oh, my painful existence is finally going to be over.
Well, he did approach John about a new détente in the last episode. No more dumpsters.
Yeah.
He's starting to sort of value his existence beyond being a tool.
Fair point. Yeah.
Right? Which was very scary for him at first, but which apparently he's come to appreciate. He also appreciates these treasures that he can find in John's mind. Because he says that, this tune that he just played in these cowboy boots...
If this situation hadn't reminded you of all those old westerns you watched as a youth, I never would have heard that.
And what a... Wow. Also, those boots, they say Andy on the underside.
Oh, damn.
Because he's thinking of Toy Story.
Right. I didn't catch that. That is fantastic. He kind of has a little back and forth with John. Actually gives him an idea, but doesn't quite flesh it out for him.
Yes, he talks about all modern research, which I love that the Peacekeepers, they have a time travel research department figuring out whether it's possible or,
Shows flexible timelines, the time wants to return to the way it happened, and if you kind of nudge it, give the opportunity to do so, it'll kind of stretch itself back in the right space.
Same people, same venue, same motivations, you'll get the same outcome.
Yep.
He talks about, I love the terminology.
All modern research points to the elasticity of time rather than a brittle framework.
So we have to find a way to kickstart this thing.
And soon. When the Horde attacks at dawn, events will vector further away from the reality you and I both know.
Once again, David Kemper, the elasticity of time versus a brittle framework.
Yes.
Whoa.
And then followed by John having a conversation with Aaron about basically the same thing, how can we fix this? He's fairly apologetic about taking matters into his own hand. I mean, more apologetic that it didn't work, not exactly that he did it.
Yes.
Because he's like still convinced that the plan could have worked if it hadn't just gone south.
And she's firmly chiding him, like, this was a bad call that he made, and, like, she takes some convincing for his next plan. Oh, yes, what you were saying. Crichton asks Harvey, okay, let's just use time. Got any suggestions? And Harvey declines.
Yes.
Not this time, John. There's been so much change. What with you here, Grind's dead. I don't want the consequences of catastrophic failure resting on my head.
Even though, like, this is the first time that John has actually invited Harvey. He summoned Harvey for his advice, and Harvey declines because he doesn't want the responsibility for all those deaths on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Wow. But John, like, he decides that he has to do something, and he tries to convince Aaron Daikon has to die. And it's Aaron who thinks otherwise.
Oh, what, you think I'm stupid that I don't understand what you're saying?
Huh.
Sub-Officer Daikon does not have to die.
Like, Aaron, she now recognizes him. He's just a cook. He's one of those defenseless people that we're here to help.
She does have still a little bit of hero worship for him, despite the fact that he is like the cook and not the almighty hero. But
it's a bit of both, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, on the one hand, like, she really values him, and she also just wants to protect him now as well.
And she probably also wants to throw him.
I mean, they're not under attack.
They are making calf eyes at her, him more at her than the other way around, but still, like,
okay, fair enough, but we know Erin, she only gets battle horny.
True. But, you know, there's another attack is coming up. This might happen.
They have until the morning, so everybody has some more conversations. We have, Centrina, the girl, comes up to Dargo.
Hello.
You're scary looking.
You should have seen my father.
And they talk about death.
Yes.
The girl says that my mother says that after you die, that if people remember you, then you're still around.
Well, your mother is right.
And then she's worried about, like, who's going to remember me after I die.
I know a secret that will guarantee it.
Dargo offers her the option, well, if you just carve your name on that wall, and whenever anybody sees that carving, they will be thinking of you.
Yeah. He offers his non-bris knife, which is not a great instrument.
No.
For, like, anything else.
Carving, yeah. Like,
anything else would probably do just as good a job and wouldn't ruin a knife.
Yeah. Anything hard and metal would, yeah.
Then again, he's used his quarter blade for cutting rocks before, so maybe they just have better material science on Luxa.
Yeah. Let's see. This is. I think it's the night before the storm right now. Are we already having the attack? No.
Yeah, no. What we're doing is Aaron, complying with Crichton's suggestion, is trying to sue for peace with the Venix.
Yes.
So she's walking up to the battlements with Daikon, who has to send this spear with the message on it, and she insists on doing it herself. Like, she just doesn't trust John, or isn't convinced by John. She decides, I'm going to send the spear, and Daikon takes it from her.
Yes.
And she says, you should throw it from here. And she said, no, we've got to get it right up to their camp without killing anyone so they can take the message. Can't take the risk.
She goes like, I'm a better shot. I can throw that thing better.
I don't want you to get hurt. Yeah. And Daikon says, better me than you. Like, you're the superior officer.
Yeah.
No hesitation. And you can just see the sort of love and
admiration in her eyes.
Sub-Officer Daikon, you are a soldier. A brave hero.
Yeah.
What a wonderful thing it must be to see one of your heroes and to actually, like, see them being worthy of it.
To step up to the point where she, okay, so now I can now see why he is the hero despite being the cook.
Yeah, this is a hero figure that I revered during my childhood, and he's worthy of it, and I will continue to live up to him.
Yeah. So he throws the spear, immediately gets shot through by an arrow.
Yeah. That timing, like, they've got some good snipers down there.
Oh, totally. Yeah.
And he falls down. We cut back to the future where things are even worse now. The planet is actually on fire and there is no microbial chemistry, says...
Yes, it's like we have the broken moons of Sesharine going on here.
Very good! Very good, Sesharine!
And things are cracked up. There's a little argument between Shana and Jewel about who should go and take care of things, and Shana goes like, oh, your arm, isn't it like bad? Like, oh, yeah, it kind of still hurts. Like, where does it hurt? Does it hurt here? Yeah, that's where it hurts. And she whacks that right in the spot.
Yeah, she's really putting Jewel in her place.
Which starts Jewel screaming again. And here I'm thinking, like, okay, the screaming seems to be like a fight or flight or scream reflex in her. Because while she's sitting there screaming, she doesn't actually move. It seems to be a thing where she just, like,
closes her eyes
and screams.
She's like a hungry chicklet.
And
just eyes closed, mouth open.
And Shanna runs off to go fly around with one of the with the pod, I believe.
Aaron convinces the head nurse, Kelsa, I think she's called, to release John as the arrows are flying, and she explains it because he has a weapon like mine, a pulse weapon that works. And Kelsa goes, "Why didn't you tell us about that before?"
Yeah, well, secret weapon, secret mission.
Aaron rolls her eyes at John and says, "Yeah, that's a very good question, isn't it, John?"
Yes. Fighting assures.
Okay, so you've been critical of Farscape firefights before.
Yeah.
How do you land on this one?
It was a pretty good fight.
Okay, good.
I mean, there were two fights. There was actually the fight before the scene where they throw the spear down, and then there's like the big fight, which erupts afterwards.
Yes.
I think, where he's like, John is like running around the battlements, shooting like through holes, and Dargo's going like, "What are you doing?" It's like making it look like an army.
Aaron's advice, like,
"Yep,
we only have 2 guns."
Well, make it look like more.
How?
Well, keep firing, running backwards and forwards to pretend you're an army.
Oh, yeah, that's gonna work.
Just do it.
Excuse me, ladies, man with a gun coming through.
Which is about as helpful as fly casual in Star Wars.
Also, I noticed that the planet is actually just gone.
But
disappeared.
The rings
are still there.
I knew that would. And Chiana, like, she takes a ship out, she takes one of the transports out to sort of fly through the ring. What's keeping them? What's keeping the rings?
Yep.
There's even a moon there.
Yep.
But just not a planet.
I mean...
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
I see where you're going. So maybe some kind of singularity weapon.
Right.
Maybe there's like a thimble full of hyperdense of neutronia.
That could also work. I was like more thinking like if time effects are only affecting from the point that the back effect started happening.
Ooh.
Then, you know, as far as
then
they're
it only affects
the planet disappeared 500 years ago, but it only disappeared now because this is the point at which the time travel happened.
Right. It's weird how the sort of continuity is localized because Moya isn't affected.
No, they don't remember.
They can look out the window and just see the planet changing in real time.
I mean, that could be like the elasticity, you know, like nothing that ever came from this planet affects anything that affected Moya or anything that happened to them before. So that makes sense, you know.
Well, hang on. If the planet was destroyed, how would the legend of Dacon have left the planet?
That's a good point, yeah.
That's something that Aaron brought with.
Right.
But she's in the past.
Yeah.
So, not a problem for the people. Well, whatever.
Yeah.
It's timey-wimey.
Yes.
Timey-wimey, spacey-wacy. So they make a fantastic final stand. Dargo, Aaron, and John and Aaron with pulse pistols, and Dargo with one of those sort of crossbows without the bow part.
Yes,
really kind of cool. Are holding off the last of the Venic horde that are coming through the door. It's really, really cool. It reminded me a lot of the Shadow Depository.
It was a fantastic fight. And while Stark is waving his hands around and looking through the audio tour helmet. He sees that things more or less return to normal, and they figure like, okay, we've sent the peace offering back. As long as everybody here is gone, we'll be fine. Like the world is going to return to normal.
It's back. It's back. No death. Come on, now, quick.
Let's go.
If we jump out here, everyone is going to be fine. It's just going to be the women and the children here.
Yeah.
And there's not going to be, everything's going to return back to normal.
I had the impression that this happened after a commercial break again, just like
totally.
Previous episode.
Totally.
They were in terrible peril, and then after the commercial break, the peril is over. Don't do that too often, guys. Come on. Stark goes off to find this portal, which had previously disappeared.
Yes.
Yeah,
when the planet in the future was gone.
The planet was gone.
There was nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, and then somehow it came back, and and nobody died. Okay, let's go. And they try to escape as quickly as possible, but despite Aaron's insistence, John wants to go and talk to Kelsa, explain to her that we have to go, you'll be fine as long as there aren't any soldiers here.
Yeah.
Venics are predators, they kill. That's what they do, they don't have ceasefires. Please. At least leave your weapons.
No, I can't. I'm sorry. You're gonna be safe. I promise.
Dargo says goodbye to Citrina, who says, Will I ever see you again? Well, how long do you people live?
Well, over 700 years cycles, yeah.
Maybe I'll see you when
you're grown up, yeah.
Yeah, because it's a 500 cycle gap.
Where's Erin?
She should be here. She left ahead of me. Erin!
Erin, despite being the one who said that they had to hurry, she actually goes back as well to tend to Dakon's remains.
Puts his rank insignia back on him, which she removed from him before, because it was like a good target for snipers.
Yeah. Why you would want to remove the catering corps rank insignia to protect someone from whatever.
You know what they say, it's like trying not to look important, the enemy might be low on ammo.
She sees to his burial with military honours, and they all jump back through. Stark's face glows.
Rift, yeah.
And we're back.
To a very muted atmosphere.
Chiana has landed.
On Moya, we registered every change as it happened. First, there were millions dead. And then the planet disappeared, and then it came back. I almost crashed the pod trying to get it in here.
Apparently it was tricky to navigate through the planet being absent, and
yeah,
I guess we're lucky that she wasn't in the atmospheres, in the planet's volume when they
came back.
Yeah. And she's talking to Erin about what has happened, and, well, we don't quite know what's happened, but they figured out that the time rift is now completely unstable and inaccessible, so there's no way back. And Chiana asks...
So who's going to get him back on Moya?
Erin says, I'll do it.
Apparently
something like this business.
Yeah, apparently something happened, and we see the monument still standing there, and there's the holograms of the nuns and children.
And Crichton sitting in a corner with one of those helmets looking dejected.
Yeah, it was like letting sand slip through his fingers, which I suppose is like a bit of a metaphor.
The sand of time,
yes.
Yeah.
And we learned that from a peek into the helmet that when the Venix actually managed to get their way into the monastery, that everybody was slaughtered.
Because too many Venix had died. I need to give them something. Like you can't conceal this, says the new general. Like you have to... Where are the pulse pistols? Where are those peacekeepers?
I can't control the horde, yeah.
And she has nothing. She's just... They're gone, and they die with Crichton's name on their lips.
Yes. Enough satisfying time to return to peace.
Yeah.
But with a dead monastery instead of a living monastery.
Yeah.
Which seems... Well, yeah, it hits Crichton rather hard.
He's talked to Harvey that I'm in a bit of a slump.
Yeah.
Like, he's reflected on his own behaviour. He got Zan killed.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It was because of his decisions that they didn't get Zan to the healing planet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
he's on a bad streak. Yeah.
But he owns up to that. He literally tells, Erin...
I screwed up.
We did what we could.
And the last shot that we have is...
Dargo peeking through the bamboo.
And seeing the mark that Centrina left.
Yeah.
Oh, and John and Erin, hugging and commiserating, consoling one another. Her over the loss of her hero, and obviously, this tragedy, and him over his responsibility for this tragedy.
Yeah. Although his plan was good, it just, didn't go the way he... imagined. It was kind of messed up by the nun shooting the general.
Okay, we're getting into the sort of review part. I disagree. He should have told people.
Right, yes, of course.
His decision to do it in secret was what caused this
right, yeah, the plan
this disaster.
The plan was good, the execution was wanting. Yeah, no, totally.
Yeah, and, he chose this course of actions. He's responsible for the outcome. It's tough break.
You're saying that the plan wasn't bad. It was the execution was bad. It was badly done. It wasn't a bad plan.
Right. Well, yes. Okay. Well, if the secrecy is not part of the... Oh, hold on. I don't know why I'm digging my little heels in. It's nonsense. But hey, good episode.
Yeah, fantastic episode.
Right. It's got us yelling about it.
She gives me a woody.
She gives you the willies.
How's your willies in your wood?
Okay.
I just got that. Do you remember how Jenna, in her synopsis, talked about Crichton gets a woody?
Yeah.
Woody is the name of the sort of cowboy toy in Toy Story, and that's why he has Andy on the boots of Harvey. Wow.
Woody, yes. Well, I must say that Harvey's cowboy boots would have been one of my candidates for a Woody, and I didn't even realise that before the... But it's going to have to go to Dargo in the first scenes when they're arriving at the monster. I really loved how Dargo gets to be competent and skillful, and he doesn't try to do his bullying way of like, do as I say. He's just like, he kind of glories in the fighting, which is, you know, fair enough for a warrior, I suppose.
Yes, yeah.
But he's a competent, skilled man, and of course the eye rolling that what's name did?
Anthony Simcoe.
Anthony Simcoe, yes.
Oh, during one of the battles, there was a good bit where John was up on the battlements and saw that Dargo was being attacked from behind, and yelled Dargo and pointed his gun, and Dargo goes, "Whoa!" and then drops down so that John could shoot when he was behind him. But I love Dargo saying "Whoa."
Dargo! Whoa! Speaking of shooting, I noticed that John's become a very comfortable shot.
Yeah.
He's not really like worried about killing people or using that pulse pistol.
One shot, one kill. He's a force to be reckoned with, as is, I mean, presumably Aaron's taken him to the range a few times.
That makes sense, yeah.
Do they have a range at home?
Willy. Ooh, that's going to be a tricky one.
Yeah.
If anything, it's going to be like why the rings are still there while the planet's gone.
Yes, you can have that
it's
one.
It's a cheap-ass one, but that'll have to be it. Other than that, there's like nothing creeped me out, nothing bothered me.
Right.
So...
Same. I mean, I don't want this to be a Willy-less episode. Okay, yeah. What should we name this segment? No, my Willy is for a critical sort of some plot complication that was set up and that is resolved during the commercial break.
Right.
That one's starting to bother me a bit, because we had that with the wormhole travel, and we had it again with, suddenly the time thing is back and let's move on.
Yeah.
And yes, I get it. It's expedient. It's not really earned. Fine, you get a few of those, but don't lean on it too much.
Yeah. And you're Woody?
I mean, that's really tricky. We have some really great moments. The planet is gorgeous. I loved Stark's impersonation of Zan.
As Zan always says, do right by the wrong. God has helped us all along.
He even does the sort of benediction. It's fantastic.
Much to Aaron's chagrin, I noticed that. Aaron was not happy with him doing that.
Yeah, very good. I love Dacon. I love the hunky catmen, of course. I think my Woody's going to go to Tammy McIntosh.
Oh.
For, deciding how Intirons drink. Which is just great. That she was going to get high on Philip urine, that she did this awful trick so she could fall in the mud and actually play Emperor Kuzco. And she, no one was having more fun and committing more to this highly fun and highly committed episode, I think, than Tammy McIntosh. I think she's really earning her place there.
She's still, they're still trying to work her in, trying to figure out what her place is going to be, I suppose.
Because as a character, she's still not likable, but you're getting to really sort of love seeing her.
Yes, this is true. And that's the story so far, Farscape. Please join us next time with episode 306, Eat Me, in which the 50th Farscape episode is tough to digest. Self-reflection leaves John seeing double, and he finally has someone to play rock, paper, scissors with.
Yes. You can support us at soulfarscape.com/support. If you have a synopsis for an upcoming episode, you can send us that on soulfarscape.com/submit. Next week, we'll be doing another fanfic. And if you'd like to send us a suggestion for a fanfic that we could read, we like comedies somewhere around the 5,000 word mark. And please make sure that it's safe for K, so it can't be, it can't have spoilers beyond the episode that we've most recently discussed. You can send that to soulfarscape.com/fanfic. I'm Kaki.
I'm Kay.
So Farscape, so good. One, two, three. Oh, give me a home where the buffaloes roam, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Home, home on the range, where the deer and the antelope play, where seldom is heard a discouraging word, and the skies are not cloudy all day. Lovely.